Hi, I'm Alex. This is Pucksandpaperbacks, where I love to shout about queer and trans books. Today, I am sharing my reading stats for the second quarter of the year. If you missed my video sharing my stats for the first quarter, I'll link that down below, as well as a playlist with all of my monthly wrap-ups if you want to catch up on those as well. Before we get started, I have a couple things I'd like to share with you. First is regarding this shirt. I was sent a shirt from my friend Jupiter, who runs a shop on Bonfire. It's very soft. Mine says read trans books, but they have a bunch of different designs. So if you want to support a trans creator, I highly recommend Jupiter and their shop. I was sent a shirt just to let you know about this, so if you're interested, the link is down below. And last, in case you missed it, I am running personalized book recommendations now on my Patreon every 4 months on my top tier, the Bookish bundle, which is $10 USD. I have a post with a survey. You fill it out, and by the end of the month, I will email you your results. I have so much fun doing this, and if you've ever wanted a personalized book recommendation from me, now is the time. The link is down below to that as well. Patreon is the best way to support me as a small trans creator who is not a part of the partner program. I would love to see you over there, and with that, let's get into the stats. The way I get these stats and track my reading is through the story graph or my spreadsheet from Allie at the Hardback Hoarder. I'll have a link down below to that as well. I'll be sharing my stats from April to July 2025. Starting with how many books I've read. This quarter I read 28 books, which brings my grand total to 48 books read for this year. This is pretty average for me. I have been structuring my reading more since I've been more consistent with videos, so this doesn't really surprise me. I've read 5,131 pages, and for audiobook hours listened, this comes in at 77 hours. Looking back at quarter one's totals, I actually read more pages than audiobooks. In the first quarter of the year, I had 87 hours and 3,410 pages read, but this quarter it is way higher for pages. That's so interesting to me because I thought I had more audiobooks, but that is not true. This brings my overall total for the year in audiobooks listened to 168 hours. I find that fascinating. For my reading goals, I don't give myself number goals. Once I implemented the motto to read quality over quantity, I stopped with the number goals. They just didn't work for me. I didn't feel in my reading journey that I needed that. I wanted to focus more on representation and that I'm reading diversely. But I do like to see if I can read more than the year before, so I have little challenges for myself to read at least 1,000 more pages than I did the year before, and for audiobook hours, that's the same. I believe I go into that more in the quarter one video, so you can go and watch that for more details. Next is how I've acquired books. Starting with the library, where I read 7 books. Owned and purchased is up with 12 books. From publishers, I've read 5 books, and Libro FM comes in at 3 books. Every year I find that I've read more from the library, but one of my goals for this year is to read down my physical TBR, and with my new series TBR Tackle, that is definitely happening. If you missed it or you're new here, my new series that I started in June is TBR Tackle. This is my series where I tackle 2 books off my physical TBR with a fun twist. I've had a color generator pick. Most recently I had a Pinterest pick. I'll link that playlist down below for you if you missed it. For library savings, I have 2 numbers for you. My local library tells me the numbers of what I've saved this year and what I've saved overall when I check out physical books. This is always listed on my receipts, so I have that number. I use the Free Library of Philadelphia, and I use my local libraries for Libby, and I would say most of my library usage is from Libby. So, including what I've saved from Libby equals to $133.93. That is a lot of money that I saved, and that's why you should always use your local library if you can. And for physical books I've checked out, I saved $76.99. While I'm talking about libraries, I'll let you know if you live in Pennsylvania, you can sign up for a free Library of Philadelphia card. That's what I did, and I'll have it linked down below for you. we should be supporting our libraries anytime that we can because they are going through it and there is so much defunding happening that we need to be supporting our libraries anytime. I recently saw a post on Blue Sky that was from a librarian, and I'll just read it for you really quick. This is from Jen at Lady Jen Poole. It reads, "Hey, as a librarian, I need to tell you, our funds depend on usage. So go ahead, check out that book, even if you don't think you'll finish it. No one will know. Check out that DVD, even though you might not like it. Get ambitious in your quest for knowledge." And I second that. If you are able to get to your local library, do something. Do something to help them. My local library is doing a book sale pretty soon and I signed up to make cookies for it. And I think that's gonna be really fun and a way to get connected with the community. Baking is something that I love to do and I thought that it would be fun to take part and help the library in any way I can. Next is Source. This is talking about how I've read the book. Physical, ebook, audiobook, or a mixture, which is usually if I've read the audiobook and ebook, physical and audio, something like that. For physical, I've read 14 books, which is higher than last time. Audio is at 4 books, ebook is at 6, and I have a mixture of 4 books. I have recently been doing the ebook and the audiobook, or the physical and the audiobook. Next is format. I have read 17 novels, 2 manga, 2 graphic novels, and 3 novellas. I was really surprised by novella. I do tend to read shorter books, but I feel like I haven't been reading as many novellas this year. Next is top genre. I'm just gonna be sharing my top 3, which has kind of changed from last time, but not really. I have a tie between contemporary and romance at 9 books each, and nonfiction is at 5. Last time I had memoir at 2, but I am reading more nonfiction and I'm very happy about it. I love nonfiction and memoirs. I talked about this in my Get to Know My Reading Taste video, so I'll link that up above for you. But I do love nonfiction. I honestly would say these are my top 3 favorite genres, so it doesn't surprise me. Next, for demographic and audience, the highest is adult books at 15, YA is at 9, and I've only read 1 middle grade and 1 children's book. Now, I work with picture books for my day job as a freelance book publicist. I don't count them usually, and maybe I should. I do read a lot of children's picture books, so these numbers aren't accurate if I'm counting in my work life, but I usually just track my personal reading. I definitely have not read enough middle grade over the last couple years, and I need to continue to do that because I love middle grade. Sometimes I just don't have the time for it, or I don't have a purpose to implement it into a reading vlog. I hate to say that, so I'm definitely going to see if I can add some middle grade in before the end of the year. Next is publication year. I love to track this to see how many new releases and backlist titles I'm reading. I read a lot of backlists, so these numbers don't surprise me too much. I have read 7 2025 releases, which makes me so happy because I am somebody that's not good with new releases, but the fact that I have been trying to add them more into my TBR tackles and reading vlogs is what has helped me. The next highest publication year is 2022 with 5 books, 2023 is at 3 books, and 2024 I've only read 2 books this quarter. You can see I am reading more 2025 releases, which is so rare for me. But it's also something that I wanted to work on, so you can see I am doing that. Honestly, TBR Tackle is helping me so much. Next is author status, which just includes debut authors, new to me authors, and authors I've read before. I find that I read more new to me authors than authors I've read before. For debut, I track any debut book. It doesn't have to be 2025 specific. This is just if I've read the author's debut novel. For debut, I've only read 3 books. The next is the highest, which is new to me authors at 15 books, and read before is at 10 books. Like I said, new to me doesn't surprise me. I read more newer authors than authors I've read before. Next, for publication, I have read 24 books that were traditionally published, 2 that were independently published, and 2 that were self-published. I'm so happy with this because last time I hadn't read any self-published work, and I want to support self-published authors all the time, and I am glad to see that I was doing that this quarter. Next is going to talk about the publishers that I've read from. I'm just going to share the top 3 with Penguin coming in at 12, Macmillan at 4, which I was surprised about, and Hachette is at 3. Next, I like to track how diversely I'm reading. I like to make sure that I'm reading as diversely as I can. As somebody who specifically focuses on reading LGBTQ plus books, I don't think you'll be surprised by these numbers. I have read 24 LGBTQ plus books. I have read 9 books with disability rep. I'm so happy about that. One of my goals for the year is to read more books with disability rep, and I am doing that. I will mention it later when I talk about my reading challenges, because that is how I'm focusing and making sure that I read more books with disability rep. And last is BIPOC authors at 12. This equals to 43% overall being diverse, and I'm happy with that. I would like to get it up to at least 50% because I want to read more Indigenous and Black authors. I mentioned that last time, and I am still working on it, but I would like to be better. Next, I like to track what location the books have been set. This is country and state. Starting with country, surprising no one, I have read 19 books set in the US, 1 set in Canada, and 2 set in the UK. Of course, I would like to be reading more from outside the Western lens and outside North America and Europe. In Q1, I only read 1 book in the UK, so it's interesting to see that I read a little bit more than the first quarter. And for state, I read a lot of contemporary and romance, and they are usually set in New York. So New York is at 6 books, California is at 3, and Pennsylvania is at 2. Next is cover color. I love to track this. Last time we spoke, I shared that I want to get blue out of here. Blue, you're going down, and I'm very happy to say that did happen this quarter. The results are really surprising. Green is my highest at 6 books, with pink at 4, purple at 3, white is at 4, yellow is at 3, brown is at 3, and blue is at 2. Yeah, you're going down, and we did it. I have had blue as my highest cover color for like the past 3 years, and I just wanted something different. I don't have anything against blue. I used to love that color. It was one of my favorite colors as a kid. Don't want to see it anymore. It is so popular in book covers that I'm sick of blue, and I'm happy to see the green is taking first overall spot. While I was grabbing the statistics for this video, I saw on my reading spreadsheet that there is a section sharing your shortest book and longest pages versus audio. So I thought it would be fun to include it here. Shortest book read by pages is the children's picture book And Tango Makes Three. For my shortest audiobook, I'll let you know and then I'll explain myself. Love and Other Disasters, I read 2.3 hours of audio. This is because I read it during my power outage. I had no power for 4 days in June. I shared that in my June vlogs. And I also did a video where I read the most popular queer authors, so I'll link that up above. But I read Love and Other Disasters physically from the library, and then once my power came back on, I was able to get the audiobook, which I had on Libro FM for many years, but I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, so that's why the numbers are not exactly accurate, but that's just how much I read of it. My longest book read was Glitch Girl at 448 pages, and my longest audiobook was The Fiancé Farce at 12.38 hours. That one was very long. And now I'm going to share my progress on how my reading challenges have been going this year. If you watch my monthly wrap-ups, I always share my reading challenge progress, but in my last wrap-up, I skipped it because I knew I was doing this video, so this is going to be pretty long, I feel, because I have a good amount of challenges that I want to talk about. So let's start with one that I've actually finished to completion aside from the bonus prompts. This is the Trans Reading Challenge Year 2 created by my friend Reese over on Instagram at Read with Reese. He also uplifts trans books and I adore his account so much. So if you want to read more trans books, I'll have a link down below to his reading challenge. It is so fun and I completed it. So let's go over it. There's 10 regular prompts and I have finished 60% of the bonus ones. I don't know if I'm going to get around to finishing the bonus ones. If I do, that's fine, but I have successfully completed the regular challenges. So let's quickly go over. First is a book with a trans boy or man main character. I read The In-Between Bookstore by Edward Underhill. A book with a trans girl or woman main character. I read Lucy Uncensored. A book with a non-binary main character. I read 11 Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. A book with a BIPOC trans main character by a BIPOC trans author. I read Horse Barbie by Gina Richero. A book with a BIPOC trans main character by a BIPOC trans author. I read the novella Read Between the Lines by B. Medina. A book with a BIPOC trans main character by a BIPOC trans author. I read Disappoint Me by Nicola Dinan. And a book with a BIPOC trans main character by a BIPOC trans author. I read Freshwater. There was a bunch of prompts. I think it was at least like 4 to 5 prompts to read a book with a BIPOC trans main character by a BIPOC trans author. A book with a disabled trans main character. I read The Prospects by Katie Hoffman. A general nonfiction about trans people, trans history, any nonfiction that is not a memoir. I read Gender is Really Strange for this. It does talk about transness and gender, so I thought that this was fine here. And the last prompt is a memoir by a trans person, and I read Hijab Butch Blues. Then there's just a couple bonus prompts. There's to read a poetry collection by a trans author. Honestly, I haven't been reading a bunch of poetry, nor have I been in the mood for it, so I don't know if I'm going to finish that. A book with a T for T romance. I read Meet Cute Diary by Emery Lee. There's also to read a book with a trans main character or trans nonfiction that is on a banned books list. Honestly, I've either read all of them or I am not interested in any of the ones that are on banned books list, but I do think that's a really good prompt for anybody to fulfill that is not familiar with trans books that are being banned, because it's happening. Another bonus prompt is a book with a trans queer boy or man main character. I read Second Chances in Newport Stephen by TJ Alexander. I also completed the bonus prompt, a book with a trans queer girl or woman main character, and I used Detransition Baby for this. I also completed a graphic novel with a trans main character. I read Lunar Boy for this. And I also completed a book with a trans main character that is by an indie author, self-published, by reading Read Between the Lines by B. Medina. And the last bonus prompt I completed is a book with a trans main character or trans nonfiction that has a title that starts with the letter of your name. This was hard, but in the end I read A Gentleman's Gentleman by TJ Alexander. Those are all the prompts I completed for this year's round of Trans Reading Challenge. If you want to participate, the link is down below. Next is the Buzzword Reading Challenge. This is created by Books and Lala. There is a title challenge and a cover challenge, so I'll be going over those. For title, I have completed all but Thing. I started The Summer of Everything by Julian Winters and I just didn't read it fast enough, and then my library hold expired and I just haven't gotten my hands on it since. But I have a feeling I'm going to revisit it at the end of the year when I do my vlog where I catch up on my reading challenges. I also used Glitch Girl for December's prompt, alliteration. For cover, I've successfully completed all up to July. Next is PopSugar. I have read 60% of the prompts and 50% of the bonus prompts. I might stop there. If I have anything else, I will add to it. I did do a video where I read some last sentences to decide what to read for that prompt. I'll link that up above. Every year that I've been doing PopSugar, I give myself a goal to read at least 40 to 50% of the prompts, and I have exceeded that, so I don't see myself finishing any of the prompts. The reason I am stopping this challenge after this year is because some of it is challenging, but usually to the extreme, where there's just some that I don't want. Also, this year there's a prompt to let an AI chatbot decide what you read, and I don't like that at all, so see ya. I'm done with that. There are so many other challenges that I could do, so I don't really need to continue PopSugar, but I've had fun with the prompts that I've been able to complete. If you'd like to know the prompts that I've completed for PopSugar, I'll put the board on the screen and you can pause and just read what I've actually completed, because I just don't feel like listing it all off. Next is ReadQueerly. I have 76% completed, which is 19 out of 25 prompts. Here are the prompts that I still need to complete. Swana author, drag, novella, death, indigenous author, and anthology. I do have some recommendations for this and just books that I think I'm going to read for it, so I don't need any recommendations, but I have a feeling I'll be able to finish it by the end of the year. Next is Trans Book Bingo, which is also created by Reese. I have one row in particular that I want to complete to get a bingo, and that is row 3. So I just need to complete One of the Boys by Victoria Zeller, Hide and Seek by Eden Emery and Ashley Pines, and Most Ardently by Gabe Colt Novoa. Hide and Seek is a book I didn't know about, so I wrote down the little synopsis if anybody's interested. It is a queer, dark, smutty thriller set in a world where the rich pay handsomely to watch the live streaming event of the year. The desperate sign up to play a game with life-changing rewards and life-ending consequences. This feels like an October read for sure. Like I've already mentioned, one of my goals for this year is to read more books with disability rep, and to help complete that, I have been participating in the reading challenge, Disability Representation Reading Challenge. This is created by @ShadowBooker. I have 30% completed, but I would like to complete at least 4 to 5 more prompts. The way this works is it's just based on representation. So here are some prompts that I have left. Cardiac health, PTSD, limb difference, blind or visually impaired, deaf or hard of hearing, PCOS, endometriosis or infertility, muscular disability, invisible disability, physical disability, disability or mobility aid, communication or speech disorder. I would like recommendations for this, but I would also like to know if Read Between the Lines would work. Read Between the Lines is a novella following 2 autistic lesbians, one who uses an AAC device to communicate. I have a feeling that works here, but I'm not entirely sure, so if anybody could let me know in the comments, I would appreciate it. And the last 2 are lung conditions and kidney conditions. I do have some books that I would like to read for this, so I don't need any recommendations. But if there's a book that you want me to read in any of these categories, definitely let me know. But please make sure that they're own voices, because I always like to read from authors that have this disability. Next is my read or unhaul list. At the end of the year, in November, I made a video sharing 12 books on my physical TBR that I have to read by the end of the year, or I unhaul them. TBR Tackle has been helping with this, but by this quarter, I have only read 2 out of the 12. But I had DNF'd one in January, so technically it's 3, but I'm not counting the DNF as read. So I still need to read 9 books. I'm okay with unhauling some of them, but there are some that I have as a priority to read. So I would like to at least have read 3 more. I think that that's pretty doable. And last, here are my favorite books I've read this quarter. Legends and Lattes, The Prospects, Cat Gamer Volume 1, Several People Are Typing, Read Between the Lines by B. Medina, Freshwater by Akweke Emezi, Disappoint Me by Nicola Dinan, Forget Me Not by Alison Derrick, Glitch Girl by Rainey Oat, Food-Related Stories by Gabby Milian, The Next Chapter by Camille Kellogg, Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon, and The Proposal by Sonora Reyes. Those are all of my stats for the second quarter of the year. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book of this quarter has been, and if you track any of these stats as well. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and leave a comment. It really helps me out. If you don't feel like leaving a lengthy comment, you can just leave a book emoji. While you're down there giving the video some engagement, don't forget to check my description and check out Jupiter's shop. Get yourself a shirt like me, let's be matching, or just look around and get yourself something. They are so wonderful, and it's so important to be supporting trans people all year round. And you'll be getting a really cozy shirt. There's also some hoodies since sweater weather's coming up, and it's going to be cooler, hopefully. Definitely let me know if you go and get something. Thank you to my top patrons for their support this month. It means so much to me. Like I said at the beginning of the video, my top patrons are receiving a personalized book recommendation this month if they fill out the form. So if you're interested and you want a personalized book recommendation from me, the link is down below. For exclusive videos and behind the scenes content every month, I would love to have you over on Patreon. It is the best way to support me as a small trans creator who is not a part of the partner program. I'd love to have you over there and join the Paperback Pals. If so, the link is down below. If you'd like to watch more, I will link my last video here and you can subscribe there. Bye.